Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here, returning to you for a premiere video tonight this is gonna premiere sometime tomorrow evening, so hopefully you'll enjoy this premiere video for Alien Ant Farm's new record, Mantras, that I got a chance to check out as a request review from Corin Zen, which shout out goes to him. Thanks for requesting this to me. So I'm gonna discuss what I listened to for this 11 track album, which is only like 41 minutes of an album, so it's not very long. It's just a 40-minute record, and let you know my thoughts on Alien Ant Farm's new record, Mantras. So let's dive into this album review. Now, it starts with The Wrong Things, and off the bat, it's had a good start. I really like the lead singer's vocals in this song. Keep in mind, I'm fairly new to this band, so you gotta remind me who the band members' names are in Alien Ant Farm, because I'm very new to this band from what I listen to, but they are a rock band and I just got into them. So, The Wrong Things is getting a 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed this track overall. I think Dryden is the lead vocalist for this band, so yeah, Dryden. I just looked it up just now, so sorry about that. I thought I wasn't gonna remember. Last Dance with a Z at the end of it. TZ, I guess you could say, danced or something like that. Pretty good track. I really like the melody to it, and Dryden's vocals sound pretty interesting in this track, and he mixes it up with his vocals, and it sounds pretty good for what it goes for. So this is a 5 out of 5. Fade is another good track. Really enjoyed this track. It has good drum work and guitar work, and overall the alternative rock grunge sounds pretty good in this song. Really digging this track. Great song. 5 out of 5. No One. It's says number one, but it's pronounced no one when he sings it. Dryden does. But it's overall a strong track, and I really dig this song. So another 5 out of 5 for me. Dryden's vocals sound pretty good in this track. The guitar work and drum work sounds pretty excellent in this song, so I'm digging this track. 5 out of 5. Then comes Storms Over, and that's a pretty good track in its own way. I have a few critiques about it, but not too many critiques. I think only one critique at least. Just how it's mixed, mostly. There's some moments where I like it and moments where I don't. But overall, pretty good in its own way. 4.75 out of 5. So Cold actually was pretty good in its own way. Another favorite, but not one of my personal favorites. But it's strong in its own way. So this is a 4.75 out of 5 for me. Dryden's vocals sound pretty on point from time to time. But it's just some of the way it sounds, the melody wise. I don't know if I can get on board too much, but I think it's a strong track. It's something to breeze through the record. What Am I Doing is a 4.75 out of 5. I really like the mixing to some of this. That's my guilty pleasure for the song. But it's just how Dryden's singing it from time to time. It has its cringe points, but it's alright for what it is. 4.75 out of 5. Prosperous Futures is a pretty good track in its own way. I'm trying to say it without slurring, so please forgive me if I was slurring in that brief moment. I think this was pretty good of a song. Not one of my favorites, but it's a pretty strong track for what it is. And just how Dryden is singing it from time to time, there's some good moments and some weak moments. So it depends on how you view it, I guess. So this is a 4.75 out of 5. Then comes the next song. Sorry about the background noise. So the next song is Glasses. That's a pretty good song in its own way. I mean, some of the lyrics are a little off-putting from time to time, but he makes it work with his vocals. Dryden does. So I'd give this a strong 5 out of A strong 4.75 out of 5 to correct myself there. Everything She Wants is a pretty good song in its own way. I think overall it's fine for what it is. Not one of my favorites, but it's strong for what it went for. 4.75 out of 5. And then the closing track, which I have quite a bit of critiques with. I think it's above decent, in my opinion. It's not one of the worst tracks, but mixing-wise, it's kind of off. Like, it just doesn't sound that good mixing-wise. It just, Dryden's, the way they're mixing this track, it's kind of piss poor. That's the biggest downside to this track. It's just for 3 minutes and 11 seconds you get slightly poor mixing, but overall the vocals are on point. Just the track is kind of a cluttery mess from time to time, but it's not terrible for how it sounds. It just could have been worked on a lot more as the closing track. So not a strong closing track, but 4.25 out of 5 for this one, in my opinion. Overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I found Alien Ant Farm's new record, Mantras, to be a good album in its own way. I wasn't impressed with this as much as I thought I'd be, but I was a little impressed from time to time how many strong tracks there were. But mixing-wise, there are a few critiques I have with this record. Just mixing and production has its good and weak points. But overall, I think Dryden made his vocals work for the alternative rock and grunge sound they usually go for. This band's been around for quite a bit, since the 90s, so I think they've dropped maybe 6 albums, technically. That's what it says, 6 albums they've dropped. So pretty much they've made some records, but they've kind of been drifting away from making albums. I think the last record they made was Always and Forever. I'm looking it up on Wikipedia, as you can tell why I'm looking away. Pretty much, if I were to give this a score, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's a good record in its own way. Not one of my personal favorite albums of the year, but it's got some highlighted moments with the first 4 tracks. And the other tracks are pretty good in their own way, but the closing track is one of the weakest, in my opinion. It's not very mixed well. And it could have done a lot better with its mixing, because it has a lot of mixing and production issues for the closing track. So 8 out of 10 for Alien Ant Farm's new album, Mantras. Hopefully you enjoyed this premiere video for this album review. I know it came out on the 26th, I just didn't review it then because I wasn't sure if I was going to care for this album. But I'm glad I checked it out, gave it a shot, and I thought it was good in its own way. So with that being said, like I said, thought it was good in its own way. And with that being said, thanks for watching this album review today.